Hi, I'm Lindsay from Mythic Seam, and today I'd like to show you how I tie up these geode fabrics. So to start with, you'll need a piece of fabric, washable marking tool, and some waxed sinew. Now these come on a big roll, and if you try to tie using just the roll, it kind of turns into a big mess. So what I do is I take it, wrap it on some PVC pipe, and you can see here I've got some rubber bands on the end that keeps it from sliding off and making a big tangle. So the wax sinew allows you to tie things really tightly. It kind of attaches to itself, so you don't actually need to tie knots. There's a round sinew and a flat sinew. The flat sinew I personally like a little bit better. It seems to hold a little tighter. Currently I'm using the round because that's all that was available. I find it slips a little bit more. It's a little bit harder to keep tied, but it's what I have to work with right now. So to start, you're going to want to mark where you want the center of your geodes using your washable marking tool. I like to do 2 on me fat quarters, kind of 1 in each of the diagonal corners. And to start off with, if you just pull up straight, you're going to end up with a perfect circle. And for the geodes, it looks a little bit better if it's an irregular circle. So we're going to take a little bit fabric from the side and pull it up with that. Bunch it all together, and that's where we'll start our very first tie. And I start with a little bit of a tail and wrap around about 3 or 4 times on the first one until I can get it to hold tight, and pull. Whenever you pull, you want to make sure you're pulling using the whole stick. If you try to just pull the string, you can end up hurting your hands. You also won't be able to get it to tie very tightly either. And if you're having trouble getting the first one to stay tied, you can form a slip knot and tie that on there, and that will keep it from slipping off. So we're going to start our next section by also pulling up a little bit extra fabric. I don't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I just, whatever is already poking up a bit, and pull that up to the side. Because again, we don't want just a bunch of perfect little circles. We want them to be irregular. Pull the sinew around, tighten it up again. And we're just going to keep doing that. Pull a little bit extra up. And every time I wrap this sinew around, I tug a little bit snugly. It makes it a little bit easier to make it fully tight at the end. So I'm just going to keep tying these about 1/2 inch to 1 inch apart. The closer you tie together, the more little white rings you'll end up having. The farther apart, the less rings, more color, but they'll also be farther apart. So once you're about halfway to your other dot, which has disappeared in my fabric here, there it is. So once you're about halfway to the other dot, you're going to want to do an extra wrap or 2 just to make sure it stays tight. Really pull it tight. And cut a tail. That just makes it a little easier to find when you're unwrapping. And we're going to do the same thing starting at the other dot. Pull up, pull a little bit of extra, just kind of bunch it up. Don't need to put too much thought into it, just kind of go wherever the fabric takes you. And same thing on this side, pull up extra fabric wherever it seems easiest. Do a lot, do a little, it's all going to make a different look. So once you start working back towards this other one, it gets a little more difficult to pull up extra, so you just kind of do what you can. And especially with the quilting fabric, the more fabric you have, the harder it is to pull tight. Pulling tight is definitely the key to making these look good. So it might take you a little bit to practice, a couple of pieces. It took me a few pieces before I got the hang of it too, so don't be discouraged if you can't get it right away. So I've got the two geodes meeting in the middle here, and I've got all this extra fabric, so I'm just going to start tying up the extra fabric so that the entire thing is all tied up. And there we go. Same thing as I did throughout the rest of the piece. I'll pull up a little bit to the side so that it doesn't make a perfect circle. And pull tightly. Once you get to the end here, just want to tie that last little bit off. And again, whenever I'm at my last one, I like to wrap a couple extra times just to make sure it doesn't come loose. So pull it up as tight as you can, snip it off, and there you have it. It doesn't look like much right now. It's kind of a funky T or wonky Y, but once you dye it, I prefer to do the ice dyeing, it will end up looking something like this guy. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.